It's 9:05 and 97.5 Glory FM. Welcome once again to the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Everyone, live from the NGPG Sports Center at 97.5 Glory FM. I'm Mike Wofford. Welcome once again to the Saturday Morning Sports Show, where every Saturday morning between 9:05 and 10 a.m. we talk about local high school, college, and pro sports action until 10 o'clock this morning. We've got special guests lined up this morning to talk about basketball and football this morning. And, of course, we also have a live video stream on our YouTube channel at Team Glory Sports. You can go to YouTube at Team Glory Sports. You can see me. We're behind the scenes here as we're live on the radio at 97.5 FM. We're streaming online on our audio at WGTJradio.com through the Listen Live link. We're streaming on your favorite app, whether it be the TuneIn Radio app, the Simple Radio app, the Radio Garden app, the MyTuner app. No matter what it is, we're streaming on it there on your favorite app, on your laptop, your cell phone, there on your tablet. No matter what it is, you can listen to this radio station anywhere around the world this morning. Also, at home in your Amazon Echo, you have one of those Amazon Echoes with Alexa. You can say, enable the skill 97.5 Glory FM. Better to say enable the skill rather than play. That way you will avoid those annoying tune-in ads that pop up at times. But make sure you watch us on our YouTube channel at Team Glory Sports. Lots to talk about. 1 week left of the regular season of high school basketball. And last night you heard it here on 97.5 Glory FM, a great doubleheader between Dawson County and Chestatee, where the girls from Chestatee one of their best games this season, scoring 55 points and beating Dawson County by 20. 55-35 was the final score in the boys' ball game. Great first half, 3-point lead for Chestatee. Then in the second half, it was all Dawson County as they win by a final of 74-54. Other winners from last night in Region 6 AAA play. It was North Hall's girls stunning GAC down in Norcross 66-45. Also the GAC boys with a big ball game against North Hall. They win. They remain in first place in the region. It was Lumpkin County winning both of their games against Johnson last night, and it was the girls from White County with a huge game against Pickens, holding the Dragonettes to 18 points last night and winning 36-18. Now with a tie for second place there in the region. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Then the nightcap of the doubleheader, it was the Pickens boys defeating White County. In Region 8 AAA play, it was the Jefferson boys clinching the region's championship for the regular season. They'll be the number one seed going into the tournament coming up in a couple of weeks as they defeat Cherokee Bluff by a single point, 53-52, the final in that ball game. It was East Hall over West Hall last night. You heard from Chuck Graham just a few minutes, and a close ball game for the Vikings last night over West Hall. You hear about that. And also from last night, the Gainesville boys, they remain undefeated on the season with one game left on the schedule as they defeat the Second-Year Jaguars last night. And the Second-Year girls, they defeated Gainesville High last night in region play. And it was Flying Branch falling last night at home to Eastside in both the girls and the boys ball game last night and local high school basketball. Coming up next, we'll talk with Coach Chuck Graham about high school, college, and pro basketball up next here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM with a live video stream on YouTube at Team Glory Sports.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Beaufort, Houston, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/black and blue.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
Ever feel like your house is just missing a little something? Custom window treatments can go a long way to making your house feel like a home. Call Millie's Drapery and Decorating today for the best in custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. We can schedule for one of our designers to come out to your home, take measurements, and give you an estimate right there on site. That's Millie's Drapery and Decorating, 1732 Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, or give us a call at 770-532-3819.
97.5 Glory FM.
Live Radio is very best 10 minutes past 9 o'clock at 97.5 Glory FM. Coach Graham is not available. Try to get in touch with Cassie Scott, the girls basketball coach at Cherokee Bluff. She's unavailable right now, so it must be a busy morning for coaches across the area. So let me tell you what's going on locally in high school basketball, and hopefully get a chance to talk with Chuck. A lot going on this week. I want to talk with him first off about pro basketball. As the Atlanta Hawks had two big trades before the deadline back on Thursday, and basically a different team for the Hawks going down the stretch. They're right now just a one game below 500 and got a little less than 30 games left in the regular season schedule, which go into April. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Hawks' new look will be for the rest of the season and even into the future, because they're going to have some draft picks that really could help the team coming up in 2026 and 2027. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And again, hopefully I have Chuck available here in just a few minutes to talk with us here on 97.5 Glory FM. College basketball, all the teams continue to struggle on the men's side, with Georgia continuing to lose SEC games. Tech is having all kind of difficulty in the ACC. They've been on the West Coast, lost to California, had a game this weekend against Stanford we'll talk about. Also on the Georgia State end, they've gone one into the other, as Dave Cohen has had the big winning streak, and all of a sudden they can't win a ball game. It seems like they're in the Sun Belt Conference. They have got a non-conference game today as the Sun Belt Conference teams up with the Mid-American Conference to play 2 games during the season in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge, and they're going to play today at 2 p.m. at the Convocation Center in Atlanta. We will not have that game for you, but you can listen to it on their app there, the Georgia State Sports app. Also, you can watch it on ESPN Plus if you have that available on your TV. And also Georgia Southern, just like Georgia State, they're tied right now for like 5th spot, I think it is right now. Dave told me they're in the Sun Belt Conference there with college basketball teams. High school, boy, a lot happened this week. Back on Tuesday, history was made for Coach Robbie Bailey and the West Hall girls basketball program. They had not won a region game since 2018. And after Brian Richardson had left in the spring of that year, they won a game that fall with Coach Shawana Harrison. And then they had not won a game since that time in region play until Tuesday, when they defeated Monroe area at the Silver Dome in Oakwood. 34-30 was the final score in that ball game. And that was a huge victory for Robbie Bailey in his first year as head coach of the Lady Spartans of West Hall to get that streak stopped, and then trying to get another one. But they had East Hall last night with the Lady Vikings on top of that ball game, getting ready for the last week of the regular season. Next Friday, it will be West Hall taking on Cherokee Bluff, and the last game of the regular season. Be interested to see how that one works out. You have 2 games left in Region 8 AAA, same thing in Region 6 AAA, the region that Gainesville's in I think they're in 5A. They will have their final game of the regular season coming up on Tuesday, and that is when the Gainesville High boys look for history as they look to go through a regular season undefeated. And I could be wrong. The last time I remember that happening was when Jerry Davis was coaching a team back in the early 1980s, when they went a complete year winning a state championship, going undefeated. Back then it was like 30-0 they went at that time to win a regular season region championship and go all the way to the state championship. The great team that Coach Davis had back then. So we're talking about almost 43, 44 seasons, almost 45 seasons that Gainesville has had an undefeated season. Now, they're trying to go undefeated all the way and win another state championship. That's going to be really something to see if Charlemagne Gibbons' team can do that this season. They'll start their region tournament coming up in a couple of weeks. Of course, we'll tell you all about that. We're going to bring you region action in 2 weeks on Friday. The 20th will be either at the Region 6 AAA tournament in the semifinals at Chestatee, or will be at the Region 8 AAA tournament at the Jefferson Arena, and we'll tell you more about that later on. And we'll have all the details. We got 2 more games left of the regular season schedule. This Tuesday, Joe will be joined by Gary Glenn from North Hall as the Trojans take on the Dawson County Tigers, and a big game for both of those teams, especially on the girls' side, because they're the number 4 and 5 teams right now in the region. And then also coming on Friday night, we'll have the Battle of Highway 60. It'll be Chestatee taking on North Hall in the final game of the regular season. And then we'll have the region playoffs taking place. The number 1 seed in Region 6 will get the home court advantage in the opening games coming up on Tuesday the 17th and Wednesday the 18th. And the big question, who's going to be the number 1 seed on the girls' side after upsets took place last night? Right now you have GAC, after losing to North Hall, they've got a 1-game advantage now over Pickens and White County, and they play at Cleveland against White County coming up on Tuesday. You could have a 3-way tie after Tuesday night's games for that top spot with 1 game left on the schedule. Also, North Hall has Dawson County coming up on Tuesday night, so a lot of big games coming up on Tuesday. And, of course, Lumpkin County, also a big one. They play host to Chestatee coming up on Tuesday night. In Region 8 AAA, a little different thing. There's only 6 teams in Region 8 AAA compared to 8 teams in Region 6 AAA. So everybody goes to the postseason playing the first round in Region 6. But in Region 8, the top 2 teams get first-round byes, and that is very important. Right now on the girls' side, it's Oconee County number 1 and Cherokee Bluff number 2. On the boys' side, Jefferson clinched the regular season championship last night as they defeated Cherokee Bluff, as mentioned, by a point, 53-52. And they have a 3-game lead over both Cherokee Bluff and East Hall. And we'll find out who gets that number 2 seed and gets that first-round bye, which is so very important. The number 3 seed on the boys' side, they will be the host for the first-round games for the Region 8 AAA tournament. And we'll tell you more about that later on as we play in the semifinals and the finals again there at Jefferson at the arena. So it's high school basketball here on the local scene. And again, we've got a lot to talk about here in the last 2 games of the regular season. Mentioned about college basketball and pro basketball. Wish Coach Chuck Graham was with us this morning. We'll try to find out what's going on there. Today is a big day for wrestlers across the state of Georgia as the traditional wrestling championship is taking place today. And we'll get those individual wrestler championships and also the team championships coming up today. The perennial powers like Jefferson looking for another state championship. And all the schools in Jackson County are becoming dominant when it comes to high school wrestling, with Jackson County and Class Quinte there with Jefferson in Class AAA, and then Commerce also in Class A. And we'll see what the other schools here locally can do, how many wrestlers can finish high enough to get the point totals for a team to win a state championship. Got much more for you coming up next here on 97.5 Glory FM. We continue with the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
This is Representative Lee Hawkins, your representative to the state legislature. I want to wish all the local athletes in our area the very best this season. Your team is very important to the success of our community, and I look forward to seeing you play this year and to see what you accomplish in the classrooms and in the community. I also look forward to serving you and your family in the state legislature. This message paid for by the committee to re-elect Lee Hawkins.
Chick-fil-A is a proud sponsor of Hall County Athletics and the great student athletes that compete on the fields, courts, tracks, and mats. Chick-fil-A was introduced into Hall County way back in 1987 at Lakeshore Mall. Throughout the years, they've been blessed to develop countless relationships with the schools here in Hall County. They're thanking everyone for their support of Chick-fil-A, which allows them to help support our schools, coaches, and student athletes. In Gainesville, you'll find Chick-fil-A on Jesse Jewell Parkway. Eat more chicken!
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Beaufort, Bushton, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/blackandblue.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
97.5 Glory FM.
Your radio station for North Georgia sports. Well, I mean, scrambling this morning, you see me work behind the scenes here on a YouTube channel. Just woke up Dave Cohen this morning. Let's talk a little basketball. We're talking basketball this first half hour. Let's talk Georgia State basketball this morning. Hey, David. Whoops, we'll do this. Hang on, David. Let's do this. Somebody pushed a button on me. There. Well, I don't have Dave. Okay. Now my phones are not working here. Let's see what we got here, Dave. We'll do this. Okay. Well, let's do that. Okay. Well, we got that working. Dave, are you there? Nope. He's not there, so that's not working. Get my producer here. I just lost it totally there. Okay. Coach Jonas Hayes' team looking to rebound after the loss a couple of nights ago to Troy in the Sun Belt Conference. They've got 3 weeks left of the regular season, and then they get ready for the tournament taking place in Pensacola, Florida, the first week in March. March Madness begins for college basketball, and the season's going to wrap up very quickly here in the last 3 weeks when it comes to college basketball play. University of North Georgia, they've got some big games in the Peach Belt Conference coming up over the next 3 weeks. How about this? Baseball began yesterday. We're going to talk baseball here next. As baseball began yesterday for the new era there at North Georgia, as they defeated Mississippi College yesterday up at Bob Stein Stadium yesterday to kick things off for the 2026 baseball season. And a big change, new coach there, because Tom Cantrell has started the program back in 2000, had been the head coach until he retired after the 2025 season, and new era for the North Georgia baseball team, and a great start for them yesterday. Also, the softball team, they're in action this weekend. Also, all the spring sports starting at UNG and we'll try to bring you details about that also with their spring sports programs. There's also, we mentioned last night with Dave Bishop, all the spring sports start on Monday, and with that, we're looking forward to bringing you high school baseball starting in March. Still trying to finalize our schedule because the schedule is different this year. Most everybody's playing region games on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday this season, and we're trying to work things out to bring you as many games as possible starting the first week in March this year. So stay tuned to 97.5 Glory FM. Not any coaching changes this year, thankfully, when it comes to high school baseball, and we've got some really teams to look at that could be dominant again. Last year, Cherokee Bluff went to the state championship and lost to Troop. Second straight year they had been in the state championship in Class AAA play, and Jeremy Kemp reloading with his pitching staff this year. He's got a lot of returners there on defense and also with their offense. They got the middle of their lineup should be very powerful there for the Bears, and they'd be trying to outscore a lot of teams in Region 8 AAA this year, but they're probably the team to beat in 8 AAA. Maybe Jefferson may be the other team to be with them. Also, you got to watch out for Zach English's West Hall team. They've got a lot of returning players off of last year's team there at West Hall. So I think it's a team also to watch out for this year there with Cherokee Bluff and for West Hall here locally. We'll see what Andy Mockaby can do at East Hall to rebuild that program there at East Hall. In Region 6 AAA play, North Hall is the team to beat. They're the defending region champions, and they're expected to go deep into the state playoffs because of all the players they've got returning. They've got a pipeline going at North Hall right now, and they've got 3 standout pitchers that had their rotations set up each and every week, and then we'll see what other pitchers their play for Coach Trevor Flo. And the Trojans this year, you'll have Caleb Sexton back after suffering an injury last year, missing the entire season. He's already received a scholarship to play at VMI, Virginia Military Institute, when he graduates from North Hall. Also, you have their number 1 pitcher, Branson Crawford, who was the MVP on last year's team and didn't start playing until April 1st after he had transferred from Gainesville to North Hall. He had to sit out the first part of the season, and from April 1st to the rest of the season, he was dominant there as pitcher. Also was a catcher for the Trojans, one of their leading hitters on the team, and was the MVP. He's back again this year as one of their pitchers. Also, Jake Beard will be probably the number 3 starter for North Hall in that lineup. So when you have 3 pitchers that can pitch for you each week, and in 3 games you play each week, you're looking at having a very successful season. Then with the offense for the Trojans, that's going to be something to see, and they are the team to beat, and we'll see if they can repeat as Region 6 AAA champions and how deep they might go into the state playoffs. Questions about what the other teams in that region can do. Of course, you got Greater Atlanta Christian, which should compete with North Hall for the top spot in the region. But also, you've got Griffin Olson's team there at Chestatee High. A lot of returners off that team, also from last year's team. And year number 2 for Coach Olson as head coach of the team. And he's looking to really build that program. And you get a chance to say, okay, his brother Reese plays for the Detroit Tigers, and say, here's what can happen if you do this, this, and this, and follow what they can coach you there at the team. So Chestatee could be a team to watch out for there in Region 6 AAA. Then also you look at Dawson County with Coach Logan Burke, and then also what's happening up at Lumpkin County and what the Indians can do also in that region. So high school baseball officially begins on Monday, and we'll see how the weather is for these last 3 weeks of February. Then it really cranks up in March with region play. All the games in February are non-region games, and Joe told me he's going to watch a game on Monday with Habersham Central taking on North Hall, and that should be interesting. He'll tell me more about that a little bit later on. And so high school baseball begins on Monday. You got high school soccer gearing up. It was interesting, was talking with Coach Bobby Pless, one of the assistant coaches down at Johnson High. It was talking about just the interest in high school soccer down at Johnson, which is the team to beat in soccer on the boys' side. They had over 100 boys come out to try to make the team there at Johnson High, and so they are the team to beat when it comes to high school soccer this spring. Coming up next on 97.5 Glory FM, we'll talk with Harper Abell about the big game coming up tomorrow night, and also a lot of other things when it comes to football here on 97.5 Glory FM with the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
Ever feel like your house is just missing a little something? Custom window treatments can go a long way to making your house feel like a home. Call Millie's Drapery and Decorating today for the best in custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. We can schedule for one of our designers to come out to your home, take measurements, and give you an estimate right there on site. That's Millie's Drapery and Decorating, 1732 Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, or give us a call at 770-532-3819.
This is Representative Lee Hawkins, your representative to the state legislature. I want to wish all the local athletes in our area the very best this season. Your team is very important to the success of our community, and I look forward to seeing you play this year and to see what you accomplish in the classrooms and in the community. I also look forward to serving you and your family in the state legislature. This message paid for by the committee to re-elect Lee Hawkins.
Chick-fil-A is a proud sponsor of Hall County Athletics and the great student athletes that compete on the fields, courts, tracks, and mats. Chick-fil-A was introduced into Hall County way back in 1987 at Lakeshore Mall. Throughout the years, they've been blessed to develop countless relationships with the schools here in Hall County. They're thanking everyone for their support of Chick-fil-A, which allows them to help support our schools, coaches, and student athletes. In Gainesville, you'll find Chick-fil-A on Jesse Jewell Parkway. Eat more chicken.
97.5 Glory FM.
Your radio station for North Georgia sports. Trying to get our phones back up here and working this morning. We'll try to talk. Chuck Graham just called me and says talk basketball here. We got just a few minutes to talk with him and see if we can get him going on the phone here. Oh, there we go. Hey, Chuck, you there? Nope. So we got our phones working here, but they are not working here. So let's see what's going on here. Oh, we may have to abort.
Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Buford, Houston, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/black and blue.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
Ever feel like your house is just missing a little something? Custom window treatments can go a long way to making your house feel like a home. Call Millie's Drapery and Decorating today for the best in custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. We can schedule for one of our designers to come out to your home, take measurements, and give you an estimate right there on site. That's Millie's Drapery and Decorating, 1732 Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, or give us a call at 770-532-3819.
This is Representative Lee Hawkins, your representative to the state legislature. I want to wish all the local athletes in our area the very best this season. Your team is very important to the success of our community, and I look forward to seeing you play this year and to see what you accomplish in the classrooms and in the community. I also look forward to serving you and your family in the state legislature. This message paid for by the committee to re-elect Lee Hawkins.
Chick-fil-A is a proud sponsor of Hall County Athletics and the great student athletes that compete on the fields, courts, tracks, and mats. Chick-fil-A was introduced into Hall County way back in 1987 at Lakeshore Mall. Throughout the years, they've been blessed to develop countless relationships with the schools here in Hall County. They're thanking everyone for their support of Chick-fil-A, which allows them to help support our schools, coaches, and student athletes. In Gainesville, you'll find Chick-fil-A on Jesse Jewell Parkway. Eat more chicken.
97.5 Glory FM.
We're going to try this one more time this morning. I've got Harper LaBelle hopefully on the phone with me. We were working here behind the scenes trying to get things working here. So let's going to try this right here. I think I may have just tried one other thing here. All right, let's try this. Harper, are you there by chance? Let's try this. Harper, are you there now, Harper?
I can hear you, Mike.
Bingo. Yeah. That's what happened. We changed phones here. That's what happened here. Now we got things working. Thankfully, can I take a big, whew, okay. Sorry about that.
Isn't it good to have technology on your side, Mike? Isn't it amazing?
Isn't it amazing the blind guy can do all this? It's amazing here. And I'm just amazed, and we thank God for that standpoint. I'm sorry that we didn't get Chuck Graham on in the last minute, nor Dave Cohen this morning, but I've got you this morning, and let's talk football this morning here. We got the rest of the show to talk football, and so you can be watching a game tomorrow night, buddy?
You think? Yeah, I don't know. It's too bad nobody cares and that there's nothing going on, but if nothing else, Mike, I got a Bad Bunny halftime show that I absolutely need to see, don't I? I mean, I don't know anything about Bad Bunny, but all the kids do, and we'll try to get that all figured out.
So you don't know anything about Bad Bunny? Okay, that's
No.
good to know. So I heard Eric Dickerson had something to say about it, though. So what I heard, the best thing is 30 minutes. Just go ahead and turn it off. Maybe time to eat, spend time with the family, and then get ready for the second half. But just watch football, and it's amazing where the NFL's. Do you remember? Now, I heard a little bit of your 100 Yards of Football podcast, and I encourage you to subscribe to Harper's podcast, 100 Yards of Football. It had some great programs this week talking about the game. So, what's your earliest recollection, memory of a Super Bowl?
Oh, well, we asked that question to the panel, like my son Brian, who's on the show, and Joey Klinkscales, who's a former general manager, and he was a player back in the day with the Steelers, and then was a scout for years. And my earliest was I remember seeing Jim O'Brien kick that short. It almost was an extra point, Mike. And then back in those days, in the early 70s, the goalposts were still on the goal line, and they didn't move them back until, I don't know, a year or two later. But it was about a 9-yard field goal, if you ask me. His chin strap was unbuckled, and the following year, the Cowboys ended up beating the Dolphins, right? So the Cowboys went into the Super Bowl losing it one year, and then the next year they win it.
Yep.
And then the Dolphins lose Super Bowl VI, but win 7 and 8, and the Steelers come in after that. But that's my earliest recollection. I don't remember Joe Namath walking off the field in Super Bowl III, and Kansas City is kind of like the remember they lost Super Bowl I, but they played in Super Bowl IV.
That's
and
correct.
Beat the Minnesota Vikings there in Tulane, and
Yep.
gosh, a muddy game. You know, it was their jerseys were all, you know, this isn't red clay. This is deep, dark, black mud all over their jerseys, and it was a lot of fun. But I didn't see that. I don't remember watching that one. I was probably just a little bit too young.
Well, the point,
what about you? What's your earliest?
That's what I'll tell you about my earliest remembrance was the first game, and it was the NFL AFL championship, what they called it in the first 2 years, and it was the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs. And from that standpoint, I didn't watch the game per se. Okay, I remember my mom and dad and my sister, we were going to visit my mom's brother and their family down in Chamblee, and so it was like a regular Sunday afternoon, but there was a football game on, and really didn't think that much about it because it's the NFL and the AFL. But what I was going to mention about halftime was interesting. Back then, Harper, they had high school bands that played at halftime of the Super Bowl before it was known as Super Bowl.
Or Southern University would be at
Yes.
the game, just
Yes.
one of the local bands.
Yes.
Right. It was a different type of fanfare. The stadium wasn't full. And if I remember correctly, Mike, Steve and Ed Sable
Yes.
from NFL Films paid $3,000, which is a heck of a lot of money back in 1967, to have a couple cameras and to videotape the games.
Yep.
And they did, and thank goodness they did. They turned that into a conglomerate, right, Mike?
Yes.
A multi-million-dollar empire that forever changed how we watch film and watch games and get to see little intricacies of the game. The mics on the coaches.
Yes.
You know, the not just the players, but, you know, fans, and getting a different perspective of what it was like. And I think the quest to be on the field and to know what's going on in a game and to feel or hear or sense it in a different manner is still a terrific part of what makes football so interesting to watch and see.
I was talking with Harper Bell this morning on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. You know, also our music that we play in our intro here is from NFL Films. I have those original 5 LPs back in the day, the albums, and we went ahead and copied on to CDs that we have here at the station. Just whenever you hear that music and you hear, in your mind, you hear the voice of John Facenda, the voice of the NFL back in the day, you can just sort of picture, I mean, not see any more picture of how it was back in the day with those great games with the NFL championships now. And tomorrow night, I think it's going to be a different ball game. We got Seattle taking on New England, and I don't know if anybody ever thought New England would make it. Maybe Seattle, but I don't think anybody thought New England was going to make it, did they?
Not really. And real quick, Mike, if you don't mind,
Sure.
Sandy, what was it, Sandy Somethingberg or whatever, the guy that did the orchestral compositions there for the NFL Films.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
As a contributor, gosh, some of that stuff, and you know how interesting it is. It's got that military drum,
It does.
you know, and there's a beat to it, and you know, the suspense and everything. I still remember watching the NFL Game of the Week, and very early in the show, like when Tom Brookshire would do the narration, and there's a ball in the air and it's spinning and it's in super slow motion, and you got the music in the background, and the ball finally lands in a receiver's hands and he gets tackled in the end zone for a touchdown. It just made the game so much more fun to learn about and to be excited about. And then you throw in Facenda, goodness gracious. I mean, everybody said he was the voice of God,
Yes.
and I'm sure God himself would say, well, I sound a little bit better than John, but it's pretty dang close, right? So
Yes,
all of that stuff adds to it. And then, yes, you throw in New England, and, you know, at the beginning of the year, Mike, I don't think anybody but New England thought they had a chance to make it. And you get Mike Vrabel and a quarterback that's on the rise. Protect this guy. Let's run the ball well and play sound defense, and we're going to give ourselves a chance. And then here we are 17 weeks later watching them go in the playoffs, and they're pretty good, and they are. They're a very good team, and every category, whether it be running, passing, scoring, or defense, they're in the top 6. Not 10, but they're top 6. They're 6th in rushing in the league, but everything else that they do is just absolutely amazing, and special teams is a part of both teams' reason why they're there, so it's going to be a good game.
How about defense? Because we know defense wins championships, and hopefully it's not going to be a lopsided affair tomorrow night.
Yeah, one of the things that, the fun that I have on this podcast is occasionally someone will throw a phrase, and we've been doing it all year, is that defense gets off the bus first. You know what I mean? If you want to impress somebody, you get your biggest guys on defense, and the other team's going to say, whoa, look at those guys. And both teams can stout that. It's very impressive. Seattle has the best defense in the league, and they're going to show it. I think both teams are really going to make it difficult to score. So I think the over-under is a little bit lower than what they normally would have it be. And I'm not a betting guy, but I'm aware of what the lines are.
Yes.
And, the game itself is a 4.5 split by Seattle being favored to win this one. I just think that, it could be a 17-14 game, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Wow. How about that? That would be really something to see. It'd be something, if Seattle can win this thing, it would be really something to see. Because I guess the last game that New England won was against the Falcons?
Yeah, and a close one in terms of that. But Seattle lost to New England, about 7 or 8 years ago?
Yep,
and that was the one where Marshawn Lynch was supposed to be given the ball at the 1-yard line. Why wouldn't you give it to him? They didn't. They throw a little crossing route to an outside receiver, and Malcolm Butler jumped it and knew that the route was coming. He'd been watching this film and gets the pick. They get the ball at the 1-yard line. It's very difficult to run the score out or the time in the clock. And but that's one of those ones that Pete Carroll will have to live with forever, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
But it was one of those games. If you're a New England fan, you go, I can't believe we won it. And if you're a Seattle fan, you go, I can't believe we lost it. So
yes.
If it's anything as close as that one was, it should be entertaining to say the least.
Now let's turn gears for a moment here. A lot going on in football this week. We're talking about Harper LaBelle here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. And again, go to his podcast, 100 Yards of Football. I really love you had this one interview this week with Clay Matthews, and that was really something to listen to. Well, think about that. This week, the Hall of Fame was introduced, and there was some great names that were introduced this week, Harper.
Yeah, I think the list was 15 were the finalists, and a couple of them were what I'll call the old guys. I don't know if they call legacy or if they call them legends or whatever. They're just older guys. They're really old guys. And Roger Craig gets in for that. And congratulations to Roger. What a great career. I've always called it the Hall of Fame and not the Hall of Stats. So there are guys that deserve to be there because we got to know him. We got to see him. And it doesn't always necessarily mean Super Bowl, or playoff games. But, I'd love to have Clay in. His brother Bruce is in the Hall of Fame. He's part of that majesty of a family that's had 3 generations that have had great careers in the NFL, including Jake, who's a Falcon, and he's entering his 12th year in the league, and Clay the third. Clay played 19 years and was in 3 AFC championship games, the fumble, the drive, and then Red Right 88. So I think from a fame standpoint, he's more than deserved it, but the voters obviously keep passing him by. It's a shame. But Luke Kuechly, linebacker that played 8 years, not 19. He makes it from Carolina. We had Larry Fitzgerald, of course, Adam Vinatieri, and then Falcon fans will certainly want to say, well, can we ever get rid of Drew Brees? No, we'll never get rid of him. Now he's in the Hall of Fame. So, congratulations to all of them.
Absolutely. And with that also this week, there was a passing that I did. I was shocked when I was listening to my X-Post there, is that the famed Philadelphia and as I knew him, the Washington Redskins quarterback, Sonny Jurgensen, passed away this week.
How about that? Yeah, Sonny was one of those guys that if you looked at him when he got off the bus, you said, "Oh, well, there's the equipment manager, right? There's the trainer. That's not the starting quarterback. He's got a pot belly. He doesn't move very well, but he was a great leader back in those days, and one of those guys that." You'd probably see him on the sideline with a cigarette, right? Maybe a can of beer or, something other than drinking water. And that was prior to Gatorade, Mike. Think about it. They didn't have Gatorade back in those days. But absolutely a great addition to the NFL and made it, him and Billy Kilmer, the two of them, neither one of them had ever done a sit-up. But they did everything they possibly could to make the game a little bit better.
I like that, but never does sit up. I like that, Harper. Yeah, and after his career, he actually was a commentator on NFL football games on Sundays.
Sure was. Yeah, I remember watching him, and I can't absolutely remember any part of it, Mike, but
Exactly.
I know that, he was appreciated much like a guy like Y.A. Tittle
Oh, yeah.
or Norm Van Brocklin, guys that really understood the game and were able to talk about it and share it on either television or as a coach. And, again, making the game better, trying to keep it fun and make it entertaining and grow the audience. Remember, baseball was king back in those days.
Yes.
And for obvious reasons, it took a heck of a lot to try to supplant a whole group of fans and say, hey, there's something in the fall that you can watch all the way till, Valentine's Day. Well, today we can watch it till Valentine's. Back then it was still early January.
And it may have been Super Bowl that did that for people. After Joe Namath, as you mentioned there in Super Bowl III, winning that game, surprising everybody from that standpoint. But then when the league merged, the two leagues there in 70 and going from there, it just kept growing and kept growing and kept growing.
Yeah, and it was called the AFL NFL Championship game. That's a little bit too long, right? And
yes.
Back in the day, you remember there were these little round, they almost a little bit smaller than a lacrosse ball, but it was made out of the same type of material and it would bounce, and they were called Super Balls.
Oh, yes.
And Lamar Hunt, his daughter, one day was at the dinner table, I think, if I remember correctly, and very simply she said, Dad, you should call it the Super Bowl instead of the Rose Bowl or the Orange Bowl. We call it the Super Bowl, and he loved the idea, and he took it to the rest of the league, and they all said, hey, that's not a bad idea. We'll call it the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And so number 3 was the first, even though there were 2 earlier than that. Yep. That's the one where obviously Joe Namath was asked 2 or 3 days before the game, hey, what do you think your chances are of winning the game? He goes, we're going to win the game. I guarantee it. That's an old Bear Bryant thing that, we're going to win. Why would I even dress up if I didn't think we were going to win the game? Well, of course we're going to win it.
Yep.
And it makes the press, and they ended up winning it, and it was David beating Goliath in a football terminology, and next thing you know, people are watching left and right, and they have been ever since.
So tomorrow night is Super Bowl 60, and you look at the Roman numeral, it is LX coming up tomorrow night there, and they'll play it at Santa Clara, home of the San Francisco 49ers, Seattle going against New England. If there's any advantage, I don't know, with New England having to go cross country, I don't know, maybe that has something to do with Seattle just down the road, down I-5, who knows, but it's been 2 weeks since we've had football, and be curious to see who is ready to play when they get ready. And you talked about, getting ready. It's been just a week of just, I guess, preparing in a sense. You just rest up, getting ready for tomorrow night's game.
Yeah, from now on, it's like almost agony for the players in terms of the amount of time that they are technically off their feet. They're going to have a walkthrough today. They'll just basically have I don't even think any of them are going to be wearing cleats, but they'll be out on the field. And it'll be about a 45-minute to an hour session where you just practice a couple of the key plays that you want to go over and make sure that everybody's loose and knows what they're doing. You'll have all the special team situations, lineup changes. Okay, we're going to go with king package. All right, now we're going to go with 3 tights. Let's go with the monster, and then just make sure everybody knows what they're doing. Punt team, here we go, and then everybody goes out in the field, and then you're off your feet, Mike.
Yep.
You may get a chance to see your family a little bit. You'll go back to the team hotel. You'll have dinner, and then you get on a bus and you go to another secret hideout. That's generally the way they put it. But there's a different hotel in the city that's nearby, and each team will go to a separate hotel. They'll spend the night as if it were a regular road game.
Yep.
And you get up in the morning. Hopefully nobody has spent the night out on the town, if you know what I'm saying. And then, everybody's signed, sealed, and delivered and accounted for. Next thing you know, you've got about 10 of the most uncomfortable hours of your life, just waiting and waiting. You watch a couple of movies. And can I tell you a quick story, Mike?
Please. Sure.
Brett Favre on Super Bowl Sunday was watching NFL films, and ESPN had a bunch of previous shows.
Oh, yes.
He's watching the 49ers playing the Denver Broncos. What is that, Super Bowl 25 or 20, whatever. And then they have this thing where Montana, you can see him at the line of scrimmage. He goes, black, 59 Razor, black, 59 Razor. Well, it was the same offense that Mike Holmgren had taken from Bill Walsh. so Brett knew exactly what 59 Razor was. And Montana sees the safety move out, and next thing he throws a deep touchdown pass to Jerry Rice. And Brett says that was the impetus for him to call the very same audible in that game later in the evening against the New England Patriots, oddly enough.
How about that?
And Andre Rison scores a touchdown, and it really helps blow the game wide open for Green Bay. And he will always say, if I hadn't been sitting watching the highlights, killing time in the hotel, I would never have thought of calling that play. And next thing you know, it helped him win the Super Bowl.
We'll wrap things up with the Super Bowl here with Harper Bell. Two things. I again went back to X this past week, and I heard a short little clip of Vince Lombardi in Super Bowl I when they played that very first game. His last little speech, he said, lasted about 60 seconds, getting his guys fired up to go on the field there to play that first ever game. And then also the first coach that was mic'd for NFL Films was Hank Stram in Super Bowl IV. It is hilarious just to hear Hank Stram, talking to the officials, talking to the players, that kind of thing. And it just, you get a different view of football when you hear these guys, the greats like Hank Stram and Vince Lombardi,
Yeah, Lombardi would have said, what the hell's going on out here? And please forgive me for using a bad word on TV. But that's just the way he was. It wasn't expletives, so to speak, but it was a sense of urgency. And then when you hear Hank Stram go, we're going to matriculate down the field.
Yes.
And Mr. Official, that's a great call right there. We got the first down. Great call. And then when it wasn't a first down, he goes, that's a terrible call. It's just funny stuff that you hear. And if you remember, Mike, Hank Stram just took a piece of paper, a laminate, and he'd roll it up like a basketball coach, like what John Wood would do.
Yep.
He didn't have a headset.
Nope.
It was such a different game in the way it was played. The quarterbacks made all of the decisions, and he had to trust what the quarterback was going to do. They come over on the sideline a little bit. What do you want to do here, Coach? You want to kick, or you want to go for it? But everything else was just a completely different ball game. The way it was run, the way it was managed, the way it was played.
Leonard Dawson, Leonard, do this, Leonard,
yeah. Right, Otis Taylor, all those guys. It was just a different time, but the nostalgia of it for guys like us, obviously, it puts a smile on their face.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm doing right now. Hey, final thing, let's wrap things up this morning. Talk about the home team, the Atlanta Falcons here. Okay, you probably heard the controversy this week, and it was one of those, in my mind, made-up things. And Michael Penix, and he's got to learn, in my mind, to grow up. And it shows this young man's really got to have somebody to talk with him, is that Mark Zeno of another radio station in Atlanta asked Matt Ryan the question about the quarterback, and Matt Ryan says, I'm not the coach. And then it all blew up. Stephen A. Smith goes on ESPN. He has his tirade about this. Then Michael Penix goes on the line, and he's, had his feelings hurt. And it's okay, what's the future?
That's a interesting question. When you have a guy that is injured, and we don't know when he's going to be able to come back and be able to play at full speed, but he's saying things that are interesting, to say the least. It's tough to manage that, especially, in my opinion, Mike, because I don't know if he's going to be the quarterback at the end of the year. I know he's not at the beginning because he's not going to be ready.
Exactly.
At least not in my opinion. So you're going to go with Kirk Cousins again, unless you go draft somebody and you can trade Kurt at his cap value. I don't think that's going to happen to where it's a relief to the team. And so you put yourself in a position where it's a lot tougher than it should be. Michael Penix should probably just say, I don't have a comment on that right now. That'd be the best thing to do, but he didn't, and he's going to speak his mind, and hopefully he comes back and becomes the starter and a guy that really dominates and does what everybody expects him to. But I know we're short on time. It's a tough one, Mike, but hopefully everybody grows up.
Well, the same thing. You hear about Todd Munkern up at Cleveland. Same thing him with Sanders.
Yeah, new generation. They're used to talking and giving their opinion. Whether or not we like it, it really doesn't matter.
All right, buddy. Listen, appreciate and enjoyed talking with you this morning here. Hope we have a good time tomorrow night, and we'll talk one more time about football coming in this week. Is that okay with you, okay? Wrap things up.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoy the game, everybody, and hopefully it'll be a great one.
All right, have a great weekend. That is Harper LaBelle here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, 97.5 Glory FM. Wrapping things up here. Have a great weekend. We got much more for you here when you're home for North Georgia Sports, 97.5 Glory FM.